Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of The Expendable Show. Well, it's the Sunday episode. So if you like my show, like, subscribe, and ding the bell. That's how I get views. And, then I can expand things. I don't know if anybody noticed, but I learned how to do thumbnails. So I have really cool thumbnails now. Well, they're probably not cool compared to other people's thumbnails, but I did the best that I could with the techie skills that I don't have. So I'm going to work on that and try to make them look cooler. It does help with when your videos circulate through the intranet. People will be more inclined to click on them. So we don't have any Shauna today. She's making coffee at Starbucks today. So we have a lot to cover today. A lot of stuff has happened. So we're going to get right into it. So let's start with first, is Super Bowl Sunday. I'm an Indianapolis Colts fan, so I don't really have a dog in the fight this year, but I do not like the Kansas City Chiefs. So I'm rooting for Saquon Barkley. He's a Big Ten guy from Penn State, and I'm a running back kind of guy. So Saquon, I like how he runs. The guy's a beautiful running back. No homo. But let's get into it. So let's get into the DOGE updates. So every day there's more DOGE stuff. And it's important because they're showing us what's being stolen from us. Now, so DOGE is reporting that they're saving the federal government about $1 billion a day, billion with a B. That's a lot of money. And you look 365 days a year, that's $365 billion a year that they save us. That's significant. That'll start to make the national debt go backwards a little bit, I believe. But that's mostly from stopping the hiring of people into unnecessary positions, the deletion of DEI, and stopping improper payments to foreign organizations. So just by doing those things is making a huge difference. Elon wants to hit $3 billion a day, which would put us over $1 trillion a year. Now that's going to be huge, and I think he can get to that. I think last I heard, he's only audited about 1% of the funding of the government, and he's already hitting $1 billion a day. So we could be seeing some big cutbacks. He has yet to release like an official audit. And I would expect that when he gets these departments completely done, that we will see that. He did find a $45 million scholarship program to students in Burma. Now, for those of you who understand Burma, or which is now called Myanmar, we know that Rambo has already taken that country over. So there's nothing left because Rambo eliminated everybody in the country. So that's obviously a funneling system to somebody. I'm just kidding. Rambo didn't wipe out the whole country. But that was one of my favorite Rambo movies, was Rambo 4. Also, so he found 85 DEI contracts at more than 10 federal agencies amounting to $1 billion. I'm all for getting all the DEI out of there. We need to up the bar. The bar needs raised. And if Trump does his system the way that I think he's going to do it, the bar is going to get raised in every sector of America. So you're not going to need the DEI policies because the minority communities their bar is going to raise, the LGBTQ bar is going to raise. You're going to see all these sectors of American society is going to increase, which is going to eliminate the use of DEI. You're not going to need it because everybody's going to have the qualifications, or they're going to have more qualifications than what they had in previous years. So DEI, DOGE can't. We just talked about that. So some of the DEI programs that he looked into was the Department of Education, the Department of Defense, the Department of Agriculture. So he's gone through a little bit of everything as far as the DEI programs. So consulting contracts. So DOGE has terminated numerous consulting contracts, resulting in substantial savings. Lease terminations. DOGE has canceled 34 underutilized leases, saving millions of dollars. So like leases that we're not really using anymore, but still they're getting, money funneled to them. He eliminated those. So the U.S. Agency for International Development, USAID, which is the big, we talked about it on the last episode, so I'm not going to get too far into this because we already covered it in detail. But he's recommended dismantling USAID and moving its services under the State Department, which this week they've already started to do that. They were already they peeled the USAID signage off of the building already. I think to put it under the State Department's watch is a good idea. That would be Marco Rubio. Marco Rubio is a no-nonsense kind of guy, and he's going to be on top of the spending that happens. You have the Department of Education. So DOGE has proposed significant budget cuts or even elimination of the department. We discussed this last week on the show too. I am in support of eliminating the Department of Education, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that because more has come out for that. So just give me a minute. Let me get through these. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. So DOGE has suggested that they do some major cutbacks there. I agree. I think that organization is as if you look at it for the weather purposes, it's significant. We need that agency. However, when you look at what I believe to be a dishonest organization, I think that they're doing way more than just tracking weather. I think if you want to do the right thing, you're going to come out and tell us what you can and can't do as far as weather goes. There's a number of theories out there. I'm not going to get into them because I don't want somebody flagging my video or my show. But I do believe that there's something there that needs to be revealed. And I think that if they reveal it and we're able to utilize it in a positive manner instead of in a destructive manner, it could be something that we could continue to fund. But as of right now, with the dishonesty that's going on there, no. So USAID expenditures. So DOGE found they spent $43 million on a gas station in Afghanistan and $335 million on a failed power plant project. Why are we funding a gas station in Afghanistan? And for two, when do gas stations cost $43 million? Get out of here. I see these hole-in-the-wall gas stations get put up in like 3 days here in Atlanta, and I'll bet you they don't spend $1 million on it. I bet you they don't spend $500,000 on it. So that's a red flag number for me. I want to understand why we're doing that. And for the $335 million on a failed power plant project, I'd like to see more details on that as to where it was at, what it was for, and why did it fail? So next is the DEI program. So DOGE has highlighted an expenditure such as $1.5 million to promote DEI in Serbia. We've already talked about that last week. $70,000 for a DEI themed musical in Ireland. We talked about that last week. $47,000 for a transgender opera in Colombia. I bet those Colombians love that. Transgender opera. Sounds like a winner right there. I mean, if that's what you're into, that's what you're into. I don't know what the Colombian people are into. I just always assumed they were all, part of a cartel or something. So here's a new one. Electric vehicles for Vietnam. $2.5 million was spent on electric vehicles for Vietnam. Okay. Hey, Sarge. Yeah, I'm a little early today because I wasn't going to watch the Super Bowl, but now I'm going to watch it. So we're putting money into Vietnam for electric cars. For one, 2.5 million is not going to get you very far on electric cars, especially if they're selling them, I don't know what what Teslas are running for now. I think they're, 40 grand, 50 grand for the Tesla cars. You're only going to be able to put so many. And then you got to hope that Vietnam can, we've had our own issues with the power grid and putting enough energy charging stations all over the United States. I can only imagine Vietnam's going to have that same problem. So, we saw what Mayor Pete did. He spent $8 billion and only put up 10 charging stations. So, we didn't give them that much money to really do it. I would be willing to assume that this is another funneling situation where somebody got paid for something that it doesn't have anything to do with electric cars. We also funded transgender comic books in Peru. Do the Peruvian people even know what transgenderism is? I don't want to just assume that they're like a third world country or anything, but I mean, it just seems to me like the amount of like diehard Catholics that are in South America, like the transgender movement wouldn't be something they're that interested in. The Chinese. So all right, I'm gonna have to look into that now, Sarge, because if we're looking at the Chinese electric cars, they're going to be able to stretch that dollar a little bit further because we know everything in China is made trash. So we spent $32,000, which doesn't seem like very much, but it was to create a comic book for a transgender comic book in Peru. So sex change procedures and LGBTQ activism in Guatemala. So they're funding activism in Guatemala. Now, I have employees that are from Guatemala, and I have already discussed this with them. And they said that this policy is not going to fly in Guatemala, that the Guatemalan people are heavy Catholic. They believe that their ancestral spirits would not approve of this. But there was $2 million sent to that. Sarge said the Chinese ones, they can't even buy them because they catch on fire all the time. I mean, the Teslas do too, but not as often as the Chinese electric cars. So we also funded tourism initiatives in Egypt, $6 million. So instead of helping our own tourism in several states that have tourist situations, we decided to send it to Egypt and help fund them. But yet Egypt won't help us out and take in some of the Palestinians. So there you go. There's another one-way deal. Good job, Biden administration. You see, all this happened under the Biden administration is what we're finding. So it was also revealed this week that the USAID was also funding several media outlets. They were sending money to the BBC, which the BBC in the United Kingdom is supposed to be public broadcasting that's paid for by the British government. However, they have become very politicized, and now we see our money is now invested in them. So you can only imagine the agendas that are being thrown out there about America from the left. So there's another media outlet called Reporters Without Borders. That is an organization that is in 30 different countries. So now they're able to spread their agenda. I can clearly see what they've tried to do here. They're trying to get this sustainable development goals mass produced everywhere. And this is, make no mistake, this is a European plan. And I'm so glad that Trump has hammered on this. I'm going to talk about it later. I'll get through all this. So we've also funded the Ukrainian media outlets. We've funded Politico for subscriptions, $8 million worth of subscriptions. The New York Times and the Associated Press. So you can't depend on any of those media outlets because the left-wing government has funded them. I was just talking about that on TikTok today, Sarge, that I would not be surprised if Donald Trump allocates some extra kickbacks to the taxpayers for all the scamming that we've had to go through. I honestly think that at some point when Elon's done with his audit, Trump is going to make a major announcement, and that is going to finish off the Democrat Party, to where I don't think any Democrat will win an election in a long, long time. If that's the case, Trump is probably the most genius president that this world has ever seen. I already think he is. I think his plan is absolutely ingenious. It's gutsy. I just had, there's so many adjectives I want to add to this, but it's just insane how great of a plan this is. He's had all this time to put it together, and you're watching him execute it in rapid time, and it's flawless. So the DOGE team. So as everybody's starting to know, DOGE. So Elon Musk brought some of his prodigies, his engineering prodigies. Hey, G bro, hope you guys aren't getting snowed on too bad up north there. It's 73 degrees here in Atlanta today, just so everybody feels better. But so the left started doxing these kids that, they're ranged from 19 to 25. There's 6 of them, I think, 6 or 8. So these kids are starting to get death threats from the left. So they came back and they changed all their profiles and stuff. So one of them, he changed his name to Big Balls. So it was hilarious the first time I heard CNN talk about this kid, and they're like, someone unfortunately named Big Balls. I was like, but they fell right into the trap, and it's hilarious. These kids trolled the shit out of the media, and they walked right into it. So it's funny. The other one was like Sexy Tesla or something like that. It was like the media's been running around. They keep saying that was an old name. Okay. Okay, you got me there, G bro. It's 70 inside. All right. Good thing your thermostat works. So yeah. So these kids are getting doxxed, and they're trying to protect these kids a little bit. They're just doing the job that their bosses tasked them with. I don't understand why people have to do these things to these kids. They're not doing anything that they shouldn't be doing, I don't think. Of course, if you hear the left tell it, they're in there stealing everybody's social securities and identities and all this nonsense and whatever. However, a federal judge in New York, a super liberal one, has blocked DOGE from accessing taxpayer personal information. Now, there is a problem with that. Sexy Tesla name. Well, that's wow. I wonder if so. Sarge says that he created the Sexy Tesla name when he was 16. So I wonder if he knew he was going to eventually work for Tesla. And he's just like that was his drive in life, was to go work for Tesla. See, that just shows you just how driven that kid is. That's pretty impressive. I like that. If that's the case. If it's not the case and he just got lucky, well, that's funny too. All right, Business LLC, okay. So with this federal block, I don't think they were going to do too much to access the information, as more of they're basically on a read only kind of basis, where they can't really do much with the information that they have other than track it and audit it and create databases to trace spending. And the liberals, their only option is to say, well, Elon Musk is going to steal everyone's information. The dude's got $400 billion. What can he steal? Does the United States government even have $400 billion to liquidate? Probably not. He's not stealing anybody's money. Elon Musk has never been accused of stealing money. So I don't believe he's going to steal our money. I don't believe he's going to steal our information. What does he need it for? He runs a freaking space shuttle company and an electric car company and has a Dogecoin. Like, it's stuff that he doesn't need. He doesn't need to sell our information off for. And that's what mainly those companies do when they hack us. They hack us so they can sell our personal information to companies to market us. That's not something that's in Elon's wheelhouse. Sarge, you're gonna have to let me know if you saw anything interesting in that little tweet investigation you did. It'd be interesting to see what his past views were. Um, so you have that. I just don't see this being as big of a problem as what the left is making. Plus, when you look at the last 4 years, our Social Security administration's been hacked already. I think every organization we have in our government has been hacked in the last 4 years. So all of our information is already gone. They've already taken it. So to have Elon Musk come in and do an audit is not going to hurt anything. So our information is already gone. So I'm going to move on to the Department of Education cuts. So this is some of the new stuff. So what Trump wants to do. Yeah, I agree, Sarge. Kids are dumb. When kids are young, they tweet stupid stuff. If we would have had Twitter back when I was a kid, I would have tweeted all kinds of reckless things. Most likely, I probably would have been in juvie several times. Most likely. But on the Department of Education cuts, so Trump wants to put the power into the states. I like that. I do think that there needs to be a federal base that they need to create that isn't necessarily, fully monitored. It needs to be monitored by the federal government, but I think the states need to put together their curriculum, because some of the problems that I've seen with our education system is the Department of Education looks at a lot of our issues in our schools on spreadsheets. And I don't believe that they zero in on school districts enough to know what school districts are struggling. They just look at it as states or regions and say, well, this region's okay. When in reality, you may have a school that's the worst school district in the state that's in a good region where that region of schools is pumping up that region's statistics. So this bad school district is going to get left in the dark. And I think you give it back to the states so that way the states can look at each school district. And most states do a good job of paying attention to their school districts. So I think giving them that power to really dictate, where they delegate their funding. Like if they have this X school district that tests lower than everybody else, why not delegate more funding to that school district, or bring more state and federal resources down there to figure out what the problem is and solve the problem. I think that's how you handle that, and I think I like Trump's approach on that. However, I do think that we still need to have a very, very small Department of Education to monitor each state's report card, and just to make sure that everybody's flowing in the right direction. I also like it because it's going to take power away from the teachers union. I don't want to confuse everyone with that. I think that teachers aren't doing a good job, or that teachers aren't getting paid enough. I think that teachers are not getting paid enough, especially the entry level ones. You really don't start making money until you get tenured. So I do want to see more, maybe an incentive based system for teachers. Like if you have a certain amount of kids that are scoring high on certain national tests, then that teacher should be able to get some kind of bonus program, to where they're being rewarded for raising the bar of their class. I think that's a good way to do it. I think there should be bonuses, performance bonuses for teachers. It'll make them strive for that excellent bar. We are way too far down in the rankings to be patting everyone on the back in the Department of Education. And I talked about this, in depth last week. So if you want to know more Go watch last week's episode. Yeah, critical thinking, Sarge. We need more common sense. We need more critical thinking. We need these kids to be able to problem solve and not just react. They live in a video game world where their only way to do life is to just react to it. They're never going to get ahead if you're just reacting. They have to be able to problem solve and critically think so they can say, well, if I'm in this position and if I make these adjustments in my life, I will get ahead of problems. And that's where we have declined as a society, where we live in a phone and video game world. And we have lost the ability to exercise our frontal lobe, which is our imagination and our problem solving and our critical thinking, and we have just become reactionary. So you're absolutely right, Sarge, and I think that Trump's plan is going to get us back to that. It's going to raise that bar and get these kids paying more attention and learning more things. I always wondered, Sarge, that's a good point, because I always wondered why they called it social studies, but it was more like, it wasn't about social skills. It was more of like a pre-history class. We have history classes and then we have socials. I think they need to make it a social skills class. How do you communicate with people? Because these kids don't know how to anymore. So why not convert social studies into a more of a communications class or a social skills class? How do we problem solve life? How do we do taxes? How do we do these things? How do we change a tire? How do we do simple things? Um, yeah, it was a society study. That's probably the best way to put it. And it needs to get that subject needs to get revamped, I think. But I don't think we did enough. My dad says we need to take away video games and give all the kids BB guns. I don't know if that's a good idea, because when we were kids, we accidentally shot all my dad's little bug butterflies in his garden with BB guns, and then he got mad at us. Yeah. So the BB, you have to monitor your kids if you're going to give them BB guns. Don't just hand them a BB gun and send them outside. But you're seeing yesterday, or it was Friday, the liberals all tried to go, as like Maxine Waters and Al Green and some of these other drama creators. They all went to the Department of Education and couldn't get in, and they were like making this great, like giving the security guy a hard time, but he stood his ground, man. That security officer at the Department of Education, he would not let nobody in. He's like, not letting you in. And he showed his ID, and then Maxine Waters was like, let me see your ID again. He's like, no, I already showed it to you once. So he did his obligation. He identified himself, and he wasn't going to give her anything else other than that. So you saw this, everything the liberals do is all for, to try to get on TV and look at me, I'm out here fighting the good fight. No, if you're fighting the good fight, you would encourage Elon Musk to find the rest of the stolen money from the American taxpayers, you idiot. But no, you're out here fighting against it, showing that you're part of the corruption. If you're fighting against the exposure of wasted and stolen money, you are part of the corruption. Sorry, but if you're an investigator, you're going to add that up to that. You are leading yourself to look like you're guilty of corruption. So there you go, Maxine Waters. Sarge, I agree. The midterms are going to get spicy. I think the Democrats are going to be very, very desperate, because they are not getting anything across. Now Trump's got the media under wraps here pretty soon. I think we're going to start seeing, media licensing getting cut. We're going to see some stuff. Trump has this all mapped out. They're going to lose all their weapons. Everything that the left has had before is going to be gone. So next, I want to briefly touch on Trump's meeting with Netanyahu the other day. I know I already talked about it last week, but I'm going to touch on it again because there's a lot of people who are not understanding this correctly, I think. So the Gaza plan is what they want to do is use partners in the Middle East to rebuild Gaza. Now, I have talked to some of my correspondences that are in that region, and they do not agree with this. However, I think when it comes down to it, Trump is planning on, he's going to meet with the King of Jordan. Everybody over there is rejecting it right now. Nobody wants the Palestinians. That's the problem. And what they don't want, well, so what's going to happen is Trump's going to meet with all these people and they're going to end up giving in, because Trump is right in the aspect of that the Gaza Strip is a pile of rubble. You can't, humanitarian wise, you can't have these Palestinians living on bombed buildings, just piles of concrete. It's not safe. It's not humanitarian. Now, if we're going to help fund the destruction of the Gaza Strip, we should be able to, be responsible to help make it better. Now, Shauna, I was talking to Shauna today, and she brought up a really good point, and I'm mad she's not with us today, but I'm going to speak on her behalf. She brought up a really good point. She says, you know what? Over the years, we pretty much own the Gaza Strip anyway. Why can't we just go in there? And, we funded everything there. And I was like, you know what? That's a good point. We should have the financial right as the financiers of the Gaza Strip and Israel for that matter. But we're talking about the Gaza Strip right now. We should be able to go in there and say, hey, we're going to fix this up. And it's going to be a good thing, because y'all let it go to terrorists, and we're going to come in here and we're going to fix our investment, because we've invested billions and billions of dollars in this region. So, we're going to protect our investment. And if you want any investment in the future, you're going to let us do this. So I thanks Shauna for bringing that up today. It got me thinking about that. And I think that's a good angle to use. I'm sure Trump already knows how much exact money we have given to the people in Gaza, to the Palestinians, and obviously the backdoor money that our left wingers have funneled to Hamas. So I think it's one of those situations where you're not going to have a choice. We're heavily invested in this area. If you want to continue getting any kind of financial aid from us, then you're going to let us come in here and do this. This is America standing up saying, we are the big boy. We are the high school principal. We are the superpower, the number one superpower in the world, bar none. And if you want to have a nice place to live and potentially end this conflict right here, right now, and save your future generations of your people, then you're gonna do this. Humanitarian wise, this is a wise idea. Statistics show that people in poverty are more aggressive. So if you put these Palestinians back into the Gaza Strip inside piles of rubble with no jobs, no money, no nothing, they're going to go to one thing: crime, and which is going to attract more terrorist organizations. This is just how it works. It's how it's going to happen. If we don't step in and make their livelihood better, this pattern is going to continue. And we're going to continue with our taxpayer money funding these wars over in that region, when we can stop it right now. Give them something to be proud of. Give them something to work with. And I think you're going to see a more peaceful region, especially when there's a lot of money involved and they want to protect their assets. You're going to think twice about shooting rockets over the border, because you're not going to want your resorts blown up. And that's the first thing Israel's going to target if you start messing with them. They're going to say, oh yeah, well, guess what? You're broke now. I'm going to blow up all your resorts. And so I think this is going to be a good thing. So Trump is, I believe that Iran, obviously they have a big influence in the region. They funded Hamas. We know that. So Iran, I personally believe that Iran was very, very close to getting nuclear materials. The major media didn't show you, and I made a TikTok about it about a month ago, probably. But there was a Japanese Yakuza that thought he was selling nuclear materials to Iran. And it ended up being a United States federal agent posing as an Iranian. And he got arrested and sentenced. So, but that tells me that if he was willing to go to Iran, that means Iran is actually in the market for nuclear weapons. So this is something that I'm going to take seriously, and I don't like it. And I'm glad that Trump is being aware of it. I think everybody's generally aware of it, but Trump is always highlighting it. And so Trump has also made this statement this week. He says, hey, if Iran tries to assassinate me, I'm going to turn Iran into a sea of glass. And that means he's going to nuke them. And he has every right to. Iran's got to be put on a leash. And so he started the sanctioning process of Iran, putting maximum pressure from the Department of Treasury. They're sanctioning Iran's oil exports. As we know, Trump almost bankrupted Iran in his first 4 years, and he's going to do it again. Iran's going to be back down to nothing, and we won't have to worry about them because you can't fund wars if you're broke. You can't fund your terrorist organizations if you're broke. So Trump already knows how to handle Iran. I'm not that worried about it. He'll just reinitiate the policies that he had before that kept Iran under wraps. They were very quiet under Trump's first term, and they'll go back into hiding. Trump is also issuing a sanctioning of the International Criminal Court. Good, because I don't like them. That's where Jack Smith came from. I hope he personally sanctions Jack Smith. So he's doing this in response to the warrant that the ICC put out for Benjamin Netanyahu, which the ICC thinks that they're bigger than what they are. That not all the world acknowledges the ICC. They're a violation of our United States Constitution, so we don't hold them to any standard. However, it's wise to know that if you are on their list, don't go to Europe, because Europe will turn you over. I'm not going to Europe ever. So this, what the sanctioning does, it unveils a financial sanction and visa restriction against ICC officials. So I feel like that is a jab at Jack Smith, because now I guarantee you he is on the visa restriction list. He's not going to be able to come back to the United States. And their officials and family members who support the ICC investigations against U.S. citizens and allies. Trump says that the United States is not under the jurisdiction of the ICC. He says that their warrants against Israel are not valid because they don't even hold Iran to the same standard. They let these other countries do whatever they want, and they don't sanction anybody, or they don't try to arrest anybody, but they do Israel. So if you're gonna be the international cops, at least be an international cop for every country. That's why nobody really respects the ICC, because they're very bipartisan. It's a very, very left-wing organization. Next, so we have liberals running scared, and they're freaking out. It's everywhere. It's nuts. I try to be as fair as possible, but I'm seeing so much like tells. These people are exposing themselves as corrupt every time they get on TV and do something. So we've had several like small protests erupt amongst the Democrat party. Representative from New Jersey, LaMonica McIver, she made a statement. She said, "We're at war and we need to shut down the Senate," because she's so scared of Kash Patel and RFK and Tulsi Gabbard. Like, come on, man. Y'all are clowns. Stop playing with my taxpayer money. Let's get these people confirmed, or at least get a vote done. They're going to keep stalling this out until they think that they flipped enough Republicans to vote against them, which they're not going to. So AOC is also asking to stop Trump's cabinet picks. Elizabeth Warren said, "We are here to fight back." Old Pocahontas. The fakest Native American ever. And here's the new all-star. I wish Shauna was here for this too, because Shauna can't stand this lady. So Jasmine Crockett, who's getting a lot of airtime because she likes to flap her yap about stuff she don't even know what she's talking about. So she's from Texas, Democrat from Texas. So she said, we're going to be in your face, we're going to be in your asses, and we're going to make sure you understand what democracy looks like, and this ain't it. Okay, Jasmine. Okay. So Hakeem Jeffries told Americans to fight Trump's agenda in the streets. So I would really like for him to come out and let us know what that really means. Is he talking about violent things? Is he talking about protest? Yep, Sarge is right. Trump, at the end of the day, when he gets tired of playing this game, he can just install his cabinet picks through the temporary powers. So they're not going to be able to get around this. And then eventually, when they start doing a good job, then they'll just take them back and fully confirm them. So it doesn't really matter. There's ways around it. Trump's going to get his cabinet. When you have a mandate, you're going to get your cabinet. You know, Matt Gaetz just pulled himself out. Otherwise they would have confirmed him. Senator Ed Markey, he's another turd from Massachusetts. He said we have to stand up and protest. When we come back here next time, there should be hundreds of thousands and millions of people descending on Washington, D.C. Well, I thought you guys were scared of January 6th. Huh? You guys isn't that going to scare you? Are you going to get scared like you did last time in January 6th when all the Republicans' grandmas and grandpas showed up to the Capitol? Come on, man. You guys are clowns. Cory Booker said, we will rise up. That sounds like that. Yeah, that's the motto of the Atlanta Falcons. So I don't know if he's talking about he wants the Atlanta Falcons to have a good season next year, to rise up. I'm not sure. I think that might be what he's talking about. But Cory Booker's an idiot too. Chuck Schumer said that Trump's nominee for Office of Management and Budget, which is Russell Vought, is a dangerous man because he was part of Project 2025, which they're all obsessed of. Like, they can't talk about Project 2025 enough in the course of a day. When nobody on the right is talking about Project 2025, Trump is doing a draining of the swamp, and they want to keep talking about Project 2025. Sarge, you're right. It might get wild when the summer hits. Although I think that a lot of the younger generations, I think Trump is going to water that down a lot, because the younger generations did tend to sway towards Trump. And now that he's exposing all of the wasteful spending, I think that a lot of people are seeing that. Hello, Bart. I agree with you. It's so good to have a president. You're seeing a dude that's actually going to work and working. I seen this guy on TikTok today, and he was a liberal, and he was doing his little live thing, and he was doing how many rounds of golf has Trump played since he's been president, and it was 4. But you know what? The dude has put in mad work. He deserves a round of golf every once in a while. Like, I have zero problem with that. The amount of work that this guy has done, and he is not accepting a paycheck from the United States government. Come on. That we got a guy who's in there getting stuff done. I'm not sure I can even match that work ethic. I like to say that I'm a hard worker, but I don't think I could keep up with Donald Trump. I'm not sure the guy sleeps. I think he works 24 hours a day, and then he goes and plays golf, and then he goes back to work. So it's impressive, the amount. And they were like, oh, Trump, he's getting old. He's got a dementia. You know, the left is trying to play that game. This does not look like a dementia president. This looks like a guy who is a go-getter, getting it done, coherent, the greatest political strategy this country has ever seen, probably the world has ever seen. It's so impressive what he's done in 3 weeks. I can't wait to see what this week brings. We're gonna have more headlines, guaranteed. One person I want to bring up today, Democrat Representative Daniel Goldman. So if any of you are on X, I see Daniel Goldman all the time because he never stops running his mouth ever. He's always flapping. And so Elon audited some funds and found that $30 million of a nonprofit fund got funneled to an offshore Cayman Islands account belonging to Representative Daniel Goldman. So he's getting destroyed on X right now because he keeps saying the same things, and people keep posting the money that he funneled. And these Democrats are done. They're done. Once Elon gets done attaching all this money to these Democrats, they're done. They're not going to win anything. I think. Sorry, I'm reading. Sarge wrote me a paragraph, so I got to read it. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. He's just mass getting things done. It's so impressive. I'm watching him. He's riding in the beast right now in New Orleans, getting ready to go to the Super Bowl. So the guy's going to go to the Super Bowl. You know, he's everywhere. Where's he going to go after the Super Bowl? I'm sure they're going to fly him somewhere else. But hopefully he gets that meeting done with the King of Jordan. He can start to get his little Gaza plan put together. So Daniel Goldman, he's trash. He's caught red-handed with his hand in the cookie jar. But these liberals keep getting on Twitter, even though they're caught left and right. They just make themselves look more stupid and more stupid. And watch the Super Bowl. This is the reason why I'm watching the Super Bowl tonight, because Elon Musk bought millions and millions and millions of dollars worth of ad space to throw his DOGE information out during the Super Bowl because he knows everybody's going to be watching it and they can't censor it. So Elon's got all these Super Bowl DOGE ads that are going to happen. I can't wait to see them. He's going to put people on blast, guaranteed. So watch Super Bowl because Elon's going to have some tricks up his sleeve, guaranteed. Now, I'm going to give you my quick synopsis of the Super Bowl. I'm going with the Eagles, 28-21. I think when you look at the makeup of the Super Bowl, like I said, I'm a huge running back fan. I played running back my whole life. So Saquon Barkley, I love him. He runs. The guy's an insanely good athlete, impressive. He does everything good. Ran for over 2,000 yards this year. I'm not impressed by Jalen Hurts, the Eagles quarterback. He's mediocre to me, but he does have some really good receivers. Now, the Eagles defense is full of Georgia Bulldogs. There's like 6 of them on the team. They're pretty good. Well, Sarge, you need to start advertising for the Trump coin so it'll go up. Start getting everybody to go buy it. Then your stock will go up. But then you look at Kansas City, everybody calls them the cheaters of the NFL. Maybe the NFL is rigged. I don't know. If it is, I'm going to be mad because I'm going to feel like I've been watching the WWE all these years where as a kid, you believed it was real. And then one day somebody shows up and says, hey, Santa Claus ain't real. And then your whole life is over because Santa Claus is not real. Hulk Hogan's not really out there doing his thing. The Ultimate Warrior doesn't really have the power of the war. It was a huge disappointment that everybody's been actors this whole time. So I'm hoping that everything they think about the NFL is not real, that it's not true. But I'm going with the Eagles. I want some Georgia Bulldogs to win. I want Saquon Barkley to get a ring. I do. The only person I like on Kansas City is their running back, Isaiah Pacheco. He runs angry. I like that. But other than that, I don't like the rest of the team. I don't like Patrick Mahomes. And I really wish I didn't have to every 10 seconds have to look at Taylor Swift on TV. So I want to see her cry at the end of the Super Bowl that, her boyfriend lost. So I want to see her cry. Maybe that's me being a bully, but I want to see Taylor Swift cry. It would make the rest of my life so much better. But that's going to be the end of my show today. Everybody be safe out there. Hopefully the the Super Bowl in New Orleans goes through without any major natural disasters or any kind of threat of anything. I need everybody to be safe. Watch your surroundings. You never know with all the crazy lunatics that are running around out there freaking out about Trump the dictator. But I'm out. Peace.